A story that has swung between the high drama of political calculation, backstabbing and rivalries, and the dry detail of fishing quotas and state aid rules is largely over. The full fallout is yet to be seen, but the United Kingdom has left the European Union, ending, at least for a while, a route has engulfed the country for 45 years. There have been calls for Britain to leave the bloc almost since it entered it, and decades of rancour over issues as important as immigration and Euromyths as trivial as the shape of bananas ultimately led then Prime Minister David Cameron to announce in 2013 that if his Conservative Party was elected in the next general election,
we will give the British people a referendum with a very simple in or out choice: to stay in the European Union on these new terms or to come out altogether.
At the time, it was widely seen as a gambit to calm his right-wing critics and attract supporters back from the UK Independence Party that wouldn't be followed through. Cameron expected to form another coalition government, a perfect excuse to ditch the referendum promise. But it didn't work out that way. Cameron's Conservatives shocked pollsters and commentators to win a majority in 2015, and that victory paved the way for a referendum and his own downfall.
I will be advocating vote leave.
Boris Johnson and Vote Leave lined up against Cameron and most of the British establishment, and on June 23rd they caused an upset which shocked the world. The next day, Cameron announced the end of his political career.
I think the country requires fresh leadership to take it in this direction.
Next came a sometimes shambolic battle to replace him, which saw Johnson withdraw his candidacy and ultimately victory for Theresa May, who had quietly campaigned to remain inside the European Union.
Brexit means Brexit, and we're going to make a success of it.
Fast forward to June 2017 and a decision that defined the May premiership. Faced with a weak opposition and riding high in the polls, she called a snap election that she hoped would give her a decisive mandate. She kept her job but lost the Conservative majority, relying on a small Northern Irish party to win votes. An outcome which came back to haunt her time and again as she attempted to deliver Brexit.
This government will guide the country through the crucial Brexit talks.
By mid-2018, May looked to have made progress in talks with EU negotiator Michel Barnier. An outline deal was agreed and backed by May's cabinet, but opposition from within her own party was growing. 2 days after agreeing to the deal, Brexit Secretary David Davis quit. The next day, Boris Johnson resigned as Foreign Secretary. By November, May again had cabinet approval for her withdrawal plan. But the next day, new Brexit Secretary Dominic Raab quit. A month later, May saw off an attempt by her own party to remove her. Weakened but with an agreement backed by her cabinet and the 27 other EU leaders, the resilient May fought on. But fresh humiliation awaited in 2019. In January, her deal to leave the EU was rejected by a huge margin in the British Parliament. 2 months later, it was voted down a second time, and May was forced to ask for a short extension to the March 29 Brexit deadline. Her deal was rejected again, and in April, Brexit was delayed to October 31st. By May, the Prime Minister had conceded defeat and announced her resignation.
With enormous and enduring gratitude to have had the opportunity to serve the country I love.
With a sense of inevitability, Boris Johnson stood again for the Conservative leadership and won. After 2 years of caution from May, Johnson caused controversy from the outset, attempting to prorogue Parliament before culling his party of high-profile sceptics and trying, and failing, to force an early election. In October, Johnson announced a deal but was frustrated by Parliament, and by the end of the month, he'd agreed to again extend the Brexit deadline and receive support to hold a general election. His campaign to get Brexit done secured a huge majority, and by January, the new House of Commons had passed this bill to withdraw the UK from the European Union. On January 31st, 2020, Britain left the bloc and entered a transition period, starting an 11-month countdown to secure a new deal on the future UK-EU relationship just as the COVID-19 pandemic was spreading around the world. Johnson continuously played hardball in public, refusing to extend the transition period, and by October saying he was ending talks on a trade deal. However, negotiations resumed, and by December, only 3 key sticking points remained. Threats, posturing, and frantic discussions followed, but finally, on Christmas Eve, a deal was announced.
On Christmas Eve, I have a small present. I believe it will be the basis of a happy and successful and stable partnership with our friends in the EU for years to come.
The consequences of Brexit, for good or bad, will continue for weeks and years to come. But for now at least, the UK and the EU are moving in new and separate directions.